Welcome class. Today we will deal with a very important topic, that is investigation of an epidemic. Now, as you know, what do we mean by epidemic? First of all, it is the unusual occurrence in the community or region of disease or any specific health related behavior or events which is clearly in excess of expected occurrence. Whenever an epidemic occurs, there is an imbalance between agent, host, and environment. We have dealt with the definition of epidemic and the types of epidemic in our previous classes. So, since there is always some shift of the balance between agent, host, and environment, we must take prompt actions. And prompt action begins with investigation of the cases to identify the factors which is responsible for this epidemic so that we can implement the control measures. So, first of all, let's look at the objectives of epidemic investigation. So, we define the magnitude of the epidemic outbreak or involvement in terms of time, place, person. Next is to determine the particular conditions and factors responsible for the occurrence of epidemic. Third is to identify the cause, sources of infection and modes of transmission to determine the measures necessary for control of the epidemic, and finally making recommendation for the prevention of the recurrence. Now remember, it is not a fixed approach, but however certain practical guidelines, as I will be discussing, should be followed in case of investigation of epidemic outbreak. It is usually a retrospective investigation. First step is verification of the diagnosis, which is a first step. Usually it is done by clinical examination of sample of cases, or laboratory investigation can be done for confirmation of the diagnosis. Why it is important? It may happen that the reports which is coming might arise from misinterpretation of the signs and symptoms by the lay public, and it may be spurious. So, this verification of diagnosis is the very first important step. Next step is this confirmation of the existence of the epidemic. Now, as I told in previous lecture, that it depends upon the disease, the endemicity of the disease, the usual frequency of the disease to tell or declare it as a epidemic. So first of all, we do the comparison of the disease frequency during the same period of the previous year. An epidemic is said to exist when the number of cases is in excess of the expected frequency for that population based on the past experience, that is 2 standard deviation from the endemic occurrence. Next is defining the population at risk, the susceptible population. First we obtain the map of the area with natural landmarks, road, dwelling units, etc. And this area is divided into segments using the natural landmarks as boundaries. Next we go for counting the population affected. Entire population of the given area according to age, sex is carried out by house to house survey. Next step is rapid search for all cases and their characteristics. This can be done by medical survey. Medical survey should be carried out in the defined area to identify all cases, including those who have not sought the medical care. Next, epidemiological case sheet formation. Epidemiological case sheet as an very important tool, or it is also, you can tell it as a case interview form. All this includes the name, age, sex, occupation, social class, travel history or history of previous exposure, time of onset of the disease, signs, symptoms of illness, personal contacts at home, work, school, other places, special events like parties attended, foods eaten, exposure to common vehicles such as water, food, milk, etc. All these are written in detail in the epidemiological case sheet. It contains the data collected from cases and from persons apparently exposed but unaffected from the disease. Next is searching for more cases by asking the patient if he knew anyone in the house or surroundings with similar symptoms. Next step is data analysis. The data collected should be analyzed using the classical epidemiological parameters of time, place and person. The purpose of data analysis is to identify the common event and experience and to delineate the groups involved in that event. This is the main aim. Now, this also time distribution has also been dealt in previous classes. So, first we prepare the distribution of the dates and construct the epidemic curve. Dates according or the time according to which the cases occurred, and we look for clustering of the cases accordingly in within a time period. With this epidemic curve, we can see time relation with exposure to a suspected source, whether it is a common source or a propagated epidemic, whether it is seasonal or cyclic pattern suggestive of an infection. Next is the place. Place distribution is by preparation of SWOT map of cases with relation to their possible source of infection. Example, water supply, air, pollution, foods eaten, occupation, etc. If there is clustering of cases, indicates common source of infection. So, this is what a SWOT map looks like. So, classical SWOT map by the cholera case detection by John Snow. Person distribution. Now, we analyze the data by age, sex, occupation and other possible risk factors. Sixth step is the formulation of hypothesis. Based on time, place and person distribution or the agent host environment model, we formulate the hypothesis. Means that we go for looking what is the causative factors. This explains the epidemics in terms of the possible source, causative agent, modes of spread, environmental factors which enable the epidemic to occur. Seventh step is the testing of hypothesis. All reasonable hypotheses need to be considered and weighed by comparing the attack rates in various groups for those exposed and those not exposed to each suspected factor. This will enable the epidemiologist to ascertain which hypothesis is consistent with all the known facts. Okay, so this is the important part. We need to test the hypothesis, for which we go for various statistical tests. As we have studied that in case control studies, how we have done, we go for the odds ratio calculation, etc., relative risk calculation, PAR calculation, all these. Next is evaluation of ecological factors. Now, it implies investigation of the circumstances involved in transmission of diseases to prevent the further transmission of the disease. For example, sanitary status of the eating establishments, water supply, milk supply, breakdown in water supply, power supply, any movement of the human population, any atmospheric changes like temperature, humidity, air pollution, then vector dynamics, population dynamics of insects and animal reservoir, etc. The outbreak needs to be studied in a case control fashion. One of the primary concerns of the epidemiologist is to relate the disease to environmental factors to know the source of infection, reservoir and the modes of transmission. Next, we go for further investigation of the population at risk. The population at risk or a sample of the population of risk may be needed for obtaining additional information. Means it may involve medical examination, screening tests, examination of the suspected food, feces, blood samples, biochemical studies, assessment of the immunity status, etc. This permits classification of the members as to exposure to specific potential vehicle, whether they are ill or not. Final is the writing the report. For dissemination of the report, we need to do this. The report should be complete and convincing. So the report consists the background first, which will be the geographical location of the epidemic, climatic condition, demographic status, socio-economic status, organization of the health services, means what are the facilities available, health workers, manpower available, surveillance system there, and the early warning system which are available there. Next is a normal frequency or the disease prevalence in the area, etc. Next is the historical data. Now, which we will get from previous occurrence of the epidemics of the same disease locally or elsewhere, or occurrence of related disease if any in the same area or other area, and also it can be discovery of a first case in presence of an outbreak if there is an unknown disease. So first case. Next is the methodology of investigation. So we have to mention our case definition, which questionnaire is used, the survey teams, whether household survey, retrospective survey, prospective surveillance, any laboratory specimens used, and the lab techniques used. These are the methodology. It should be clear and specific. Next is analysis of the data. What we have to write? The clinical data and the epidemiological data. Clinical data means frequency of signs, symptoms, course of the disease, differential diagnosis, death rates or sequelae rates, etc. Epidemiological data means mode of occurrence by time, place and population groups. Next is mode of transmission. Mode of transmission means the source of infection, routes or excretion and portal of entry, factors influencing the transmission, etc. And the laboratory data also, that will means the isolation of the agents, any serological confirmation, significance of the results, etc. Finally, you have to give the interpretation of the data, that is the comprehensive picture of the outbreak, what is the hypothesis to the cause, and the testing of the hypothesis by statistical analysis, how you have done that. Next is the final step is the control measures. So control measures means definition of the strategies and methodology. You have to mention what you have implemented there, what the authorities have implemented, and what were the constraints of that control measures and what the results came out. You have to give the evaluation of the control measures, the significance of the results, any cost effectiveness if you can give, and what preventive measures can be applied there. It may be necessary to implement any temporary control measures on the commencement of the epidemic on the basis of the known facts of the disease. Later, this may be modified or replaced in the light of new knowledge acquired by the investigation. So, basically, epidemiological investigation of any disease, we follow this structure, but it is not a strict, rigid, compartmentalized. It should be modified and updated based on our new knowledge and the course of the disease, etc. With this, I end my lecture today. Thank you.